security operatives have destroyed a vessel intercepted with 650,000 litres of alleged stolen crude oil in Delta State. Personnel intercepted the undocumented vessel along the waterways with 7 crew members on board. Iken Amici reports.
According to operatives of the Tantita security outfit owned by the contractor handling the pipeline surveillance contract, Government Ekpemopolo, the vessel was loaded with suspected stolen crude. The arrested crew members were handed over to the Nigerian Navy for further investigation.
So what happened with this particular ship was that it's been coming in, loading, discharging in the port of Tema, Ghana. And somehow, somewhere, we laid ambush for it. And on the 6th of October, it came in to carry out its nefarious act. We knew about it. We didn't want to disturb the operation because it was best that we catch the ship with its content. So we allowed it to load, and then they started operations, loading from a line that Chevron operates that runs between Abiteye and Escravos. So they kept loading, and at one point, the private security firm, Tantita, whom NNPC had gone in partnership with, got the intelligence and sent their officials there to apprehend the ship.
The vessel was set ablaze to send a message to other perpetrators of crude oil theft that the federal government is determined to put an end to all forms of economic sabotage.
Quantity, yes, fine. The quantity of that alleged stolen crude is not loaded by me.
Who loaded it, sir?
It is hijacker that hijacked me to the point and loaded me. 7 boys.
7 boys hijacked you?
Yeah, 7 boys
hijacked. Where were you coming from?
I was in Escravos anchorage.
Okay.
Before they hijacked me to the place and load the alleged crude.
To those who think Nigeria is not serious, I think today is your answer. And you better repent. It's not the best way to go. The environment is badly destroyed. Some areas you will not be able to revamp for hundreds of years.
Okay.
So it's best that you desist from whatever you're doing because the government is not going to take it lightly with anybody.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has said that it loses 470,000 barrels per day of crude oil, amounting to $700 million every month due to oil theft. Iken Amici, TVC News, Warri.
I have joining me civil and environmental rights activist and convener of Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement, and Q Briggs. Thank you so much for joining us, and he joins us from Port Harcourt. So the level of reports that we're getting from the Niger Delta in terms of crude oil theft and illegal refinery has been alarming in the past few weeks. Is this because there is a gap somewhere and so we're seeing an increase in this activity, or that we're just now starting to pay attention to this problem?
It is alarming to me that it is now that the Nigerian government has found it necessary, because it suits the Nigerian government now to find it necessary in an election year to begin to shout about the crude oil theft. It has become necessary because there is no more money flowing the way it used to flow. Look, I have said it decades ago, not even now, that the level of crude oil theft that they are talking about, it did not start today. It started from the moment these oil companies started lifting oil in 1958. That's just the truth. And I put this down to the fact that Nigeria cannot claim to be aware of the amount of crude that these oil companies are lifting. They don't know. They don't have the facility to know. All they are interested in is how much they will be given. And so if a company is lifting, if Shell tells them, we lifted 900,000 barrels today, that's what Nigeria knows. Nigeria cannot argue with Shell that it lifted more than that. So for me and for the Niger Delta people, whose major issue is the environmental devastation we have suffered since the lifting of crude oil, and the gas flaring, and the fact that our resources is carted away from our land first by the federal government and second by their partners, the oil companies. Now, looking at the video that you had just shown, even though I didn't see it, but I've heard it and I've seen most of them online. The reality is that this is not news to us. Okay, look, people were shouting up and down about 2-3 weeks ago, oh, why give it to Tompolo? Why not give it to this person? But look at what Tompolo has achieved. Tompolo has achieved this because Tompolo knows what to do. There were other people who had this contract and still had this contract, mind you, that have not achieved what Tompolo has achieved in less than 1 month. And yet Nigerian government is shouting they are losing money. They're not losing money. They are still getting, there are people who are still making money from the theft of crude oil.
And that's what I want to ask you, because we understand that, I mean, come on, it's a very technical process. I've seen videos as well, and we've done reports on that as well. When you look at the process of siphoning off of the crude oil, and then the illegal refinery itself, it requires a lot of technical skills. And then, you know, there is a buyer as well. I mean, if there's no buyer, this wouldn't happen. It just shows that there is a ring and a cartel of people who are involved in this. And so who should be called into question here? I mean, who should be investigated? Who should the Nigerian government be questioning? We've seen we've seen several arrests, but not necessarily questioning.
The Nigerian government should question itself. The Navy is in the waters of the Niger Delta people. The Navy is in my community. The Navy is in the Sombrero River. I come from a community that is on the Sombrero River. The Navy is in Bayelsa, is in Delta. So when you ask me who the federal government should be questioning, because the federal government should be questioning the Navy, the Air Force, because these days you can use drone to even look into somebody's home from America if you have the right drone. So let's not pin this on the Niger Delta and try to hook it up to the issue of fire. The issue of fire is not that highly technical. If you see what they are doing it very crudely. And that's because the government has made it an illegal activity. If the government gives these people license and give them terms and regulations to refine crude properly, they will buy the crude and you can do it, I can do it, but I would prefer my people do it because it's in our land. But the reality is that the government cannot pretend to tell me that drink this polluted water, that inhale the polluted air, that it is only just waking up to the fact that there are high-placed cartels in Abuja, in Notre Dame, in America, all over the world, that are part of this looting and the stealing of the Niger Delta oil, first by a stroke of pen through the Constitution of Nigeria, and second of all by criminals who are stealing this. Look, you cannot take oil from a pipeline without knowing that the pipeline, that there is oil going through it. That is technical. What the people doing fire are doing is not technical, it's very crude. You can see they do it in the open.
Let me ask you, because, again, sorry to jump in. It's as though you were alleging complicity on the part of security personnel earlier. But how best then should this pipeline be secured?
The pipeline should be secured first and foremost. You cannot own what is in somebody else's land. The mere fact, the problem of these issues go back to the reality that this crude oil belongs to the people on whose land this crude oil is. That's just the truth. Now, if you're not willing to address that, then you're not willing to address the issue of crude oil theft. You cannot, under any circumstances, believe me, I come from the creeks, I'm a child of the creeks. You cannot police the whole creeks in the Niger Delta. You cannot. Just the same way they are not able to police the whole of the borders, how many 300 and something borders that are porous in the northern part of Nigeria. You cannot police the whole of the Niger Delta creeks. You can only do it with the collaboration of the people who own the creeks. Yes,
so
we
basically,
are in Nigeria,
the Niger Deltans should be given the responsibility to also protect these pipelines, since the pipelines are in the land.
not the responsibility. For me, I think that the responsibility to protect it is just the list of the items of what should be done. Ownership of this crude oil, ownership of these resources should be resolved once and for all. We own the crude oil, not the Nigerian government. We own it. Let us discuss ownership.